In this lecture, we're going to talk about the next generation, the second generation of blockchain technology after Bitcoin, which is Ethereum, ultimately. Created by a gentleman named Vitalik Buterin, Ethereum was ultimately coded as an answer to create more use case functionality out of the blockchain. Whereas Bitcoin was basically a peer-to-peer system for sending value from point A to point B in direct transactions, Ethereum introduced ultimately changing technology in a smart contract. So when you're talking about Ethereum, what comes to mind? Well, for me, initial coin offerings is what comes to mind. And I'll explain some of that soon enough. But ultimately, Ethereum added the ability for an if this then that kind of methodology to creating these smart contracts. If this happens, then that should happen. And that technology ultimately created the means for initial coin offerings, which were a way for people to invest in tokenized projects by sending Ethereum to a wallet address and receiving alternative coins in exchange that were also on the same algorithm, the ERC20 algorithm. And the technology itself started as a proof of work system whereby machines like this that you're looking at this is a 6 GPU machine. Bitcoin uses CPU processing power for their mining algorithm, whereas Ethereum on the ERC20 algorithm used GPU power ultimately. I've built 2 of these rigs myself, and I've actually put out a video on how I built the most recent one step by step with all the equipment and everything else, but you're not going to need that anymore because Ethereum has recently changed to Ethereum 2.0, which is now proof of stake. So the difference is proof of work is you buying all this expensive equipment and it just pumps out all this hashing power and you're mining up transactions very similar to the way Bitcoin does. With proof of stake, well, that's a little bit different. Proof of stake is you take your tokens, you lock them into a contract, and you're just passively rewarded over time with new tokens as transactions and throughput continues to grow on the network. Ultimately, it's greener in the sense of, climate change and, wasting of power and things of that nature. So it's potentially a good move. But in another topic, we might get into why proof of stake and this ETH 2.0 merge for Ethereum isn't necessarily such a great thing. Things related to censorship and things of that nature have come to question recently. But ultimately, what Ethereum has done is they've taken this peer-to-peer technology and they've opened it up for these contracts. And these contracts can be anything. It could literally be anything. It could be a mortgage loan for that matter. It could be as complex as you want it to be. Ultimately, it depends on the programming, which Ethereum programming is done in Solidity. And a lot of programmers have done very, very well for themselves over the years, developing these smart contract-based applications on Ethereum. The next level to this is security tokens. So what happened was with Ethereum's launch and its big claim to fame, which were these smart contracts, you had companies all over the world launching these projects, okay? And we're going to get into more detail of what these projects are and how to navigate them in coming lectures. But in a nutshell, these projects, the majority of them turned out to be scams or, early seed capital stage startups that didn't go anywhere. The market cycles associated with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general play a significant role in projects, their growth, their ability to establish use case and establish user adoption to a degree that ultimately merits the growth of the token's valuation. Okay, there's a whole system for this I'm going to explain in the future. But this is primarily just about Ethereum, and ultimately it was created not just by Vitalik Buterin, but it was also created by Gavin Wood and Charles Hoskinson, which we're going to show in the next video as we dive into Cardano, which is ultimately my favorite blockchain, my favorite token, ADA. Even my cat is named Cardano. Okay, so it's treated me very well since I got in December of 2017, and I've helped educate many people on it. But Cardano ultimately took Ethereum and made it better. made it faster, made it cheaper, and all sorts of things that we're going to go into in the Cardano video. But ultimately, Charles Hoskinson broke away from Ethereum because there was a discrepancy, I guess, if you will, or a misunderstanding, or they just simply didn't agree on the direction of Ethereum, where Ethereum was meant to be launched as more of an open source platform, not necessarily a corporate vehicle for growth and prosperity in that sense. Vitalik is a very forward-thinking individual, very eclectic, very artistic, I guess you will, if you can be artistic as a programmer. But he's very much a programmer. You can watch videos of him talking all over the place. He's a smart fella for sure. I happen to think he's quite interesting. He's he's an interesting character. You might want to check it out. But anyway, in a nutshell, that's what Ethereum is. It opened up blockchain technology to smart contracts and create these trustless contracts that say, if this happens, then that happens, and what can you build with it? And a lot of different applications have been built on the ERC20 blockchain. Pretty much, I would say the vast majority of tokens between 2017 and 2021, for the most part, were created on the ERC20 blockchain, including games, applications of all kinds have been created on Ethereum. One of the biggest problems that Ethereum created, though, is its cost. With gas fees being every time you send a transaction, whether it's on Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other blockchain, to send those transactions, you need the parent token for that blockchain to function. In other words, if you're going to send Ethereum from one point to another, there are fees associated with that. Well, through congestion of the blockchain, increased usability, and the limited scalability and throughput of Ethereum, it would create these bottlenecks. These bottlenecks would ultimately create exorbitant fees where you could try to send $10 worth of Ethereum and it might cost you $200 in fees to do that. That's typically what would happen at the height of a lot of bull cycles, as hype, FOMO, all of this energy is coming into the blockchain and people are trying to use it. New projects are launching, popular projects continue to grow, NFT collections, you name it. And it just got to the point twice now in 2017 market and the most recent 2021, the same thing happened, which I believe is one of the big reasons why Ethereum decided to merge the blockchains, create this 2.0 variant, and move forward in a proof of stake model over a proof of work. There are a lot of different things associated with that for another time. But ultimately, Ethereum is, I don't even really think it's opinion, but Ethereum definitely paved the way for the technologies that we see now, including third generation technologies such as Cardano, which is what we're going to discuss in the next video.